It's just an ordinary day. You've accepted another routine cleaning job. The address is in one of the luxury neighborhoods on the outskirts of the city. When you arrive, the homeowner greets you. It's obvious they've been partying all night, and they immediately tell you to get to work. The place needs to be spotless, like it has just gone through a deep holiday cleaning, but before you've even finished unpacking your supplies, the front door suddenly swings open. Several men in expensive suits walk inside. The atmosphere changes instantly. People start shouting. Then the guns come out. Within seconds, the entire room turns into a bloodbath. Someone had clearly pushed the wrong person's buttons. And someone else's anger issues had reached a deadly ending. You want to run, but your legs refuse to move. An elderly man, standing calmly among the suited men, looks straight at you and says, "My son can be a little careless. We already have people who handle the cleaning. But now you've seen everything." Then he gives you two choices. You can lie down next to that body, or you can help our man clean this room and walk out of this house alive. Of course, you choose to live, although there's no guarantee they won't drive you to some remote field afterward. And make sure you never talk. With trembling hands, you reach for your bucket. The bleach and household cleaners you brought with you are completely useless here, because this isn't a ketchup stain, and whether you wanted it or not, you've just taken your first step into one of the most sought-after professions in the criminal underworld. Welcome to being a mafia cleaner. Congratulations. But forget about wearing stylish black suits. Your uniform consists of a protective coverall, 2 layers of gloves, shoe covers, and a gas mask. The cleaner gives you your very first lesson. The mess you can't see is more important than the mess you can. Bleach can make everything look clean. The police might walk in and see nothing, but the moment they spray a chemical called luminol, every single surface you wiped lights up bright blue. That's why ordinary household cleaners aren't enough. From now on, your new best friends are industrial-grade cleaning agents and hydrogen peroxide, because blood is biological material. It's protein-based. Bleach may whiten the stain, but it doesn't destroy DNA. Enzymes, however, break the blood down, digest it. And eliminate it completely. Terrified, you clean every inch of the room with absolute precision. You roll up the carpet. You even scrub the tiny gaps between the wooden floorboards with a toothbrush. The old man is impressed by your attention to detail. He stuffs for more money into your pocket than you ever expected. Then he offers you a new job with a salary that's impossible to refuse. Truth is, even if there wasn't any money involved, you'd still have to say yes, because now you're an accomplice. And I don't think I need to explain what happens if you refuse. You may have spent years working as a cleaner, but in this world, you're still a beginner. And the first lesson you need to learn is this: an average 80-kilogram body becomes a 120-kilogram problem. Yes, you heard that correctly. The myth of dead weight is absolutely real. When you're carrying a living person, they unconsciously help you. They tense their muscles. And balance their own weight. A dead body does none of that. It loses all muscle tone. It's like carrying a giant water-filled balloon. That's why crime scene cleaners are among the professions most likely to suffer serious back injuries. Moving a body is difficult. But hiding it is even harder. That's where Locard's exchange principle comes into play. According to LOCARD, every contact leaves a trace. Your job is to make sure that rule doesn't apply. A strand of hair, a piece of skin, a shoe print. To avoid leaving even the smallest piece of evidence behind, you dress almost like an astronaut. If even a single drop of your sweat hits the floor, you're finished. By the way, if you haven't watched my astronaut video yet, you'll find it on the channel. Completely disposing of a body. Is an entirely different challenge. Most people immediately think of acid. But finding hundreds of liters of acid isn't easy. And even if you do, using it is a nightmare. Choose the wrong container. And the acid will eat right through it. Before long, a dissolved body could literally start dripping through your downstairs neighbor's ceiling. History is full of failed attempts. Take the infamous acid bath murderer from England in the 1940s, John George Hay. He threw his victims into barrels filled with sulfuric acid, believing they had vanished without a trace. But he overlooked one critical detail. Gallstones. And certain types of dentures don't dissolve in acid. When the police searched his property, those tiny remains were enough to send John George Hay to the gallows. So acid is an incredibly risky option, and there are far more natural methods. For example, pig farms. A pack of starving pigs can consume an 80-kilogram body, bones and all. In roughly 8 minutes. When they're done, there's no DNA left. No evidence. Nothing. In mafia circles, they call this natural disposal, but that's only the technical side of the job. The real challenge is psychological. At first, the sight of a body makes you sick. You dream about the victims at night. But the human brain has an extraordinary ability to adapt. Psychologists call this dehumanization. Eventually, the body lying on the floor stops looking like a person. To you, it's simply another job to finish. No different from moving a sack of potatoes. As long as you don't look into the victim's eyes, you're able to keep going. That's why professional crime scene cleaners cover the victim's face the moment they arrive, not out of respect, but to protect their own sanity. As the mafia's operations grow, so do your responsibilities. You're no longer just cleaning crime scenes, now you're staging them. Sometimes your boss wants a murder to look like a suicide, which means you need to understand ballistic evidence. One incorrect angle can destroy the entire story and bring the police straight to your door. But sometimes, the police aren't even your biggest problem. Only minutes after death, a body begins responding to nature. If it's been sitting there for several days. BLOWFLIES arrive. These insects can detect the scent of death from miles away. Even if every door and window is closed, they'll squeeze through the smallest opening, even a keyhole. They lay their eggs on the body, and before long, the larvae begin to hatch. One of the most horrifying moments for any cleaner is lifting up a carpet and finding thousands of writhing maggots underneath, moving like grains of rice. At that point, your job isn't just removing blood anymore. You also have to eliminate an entire living ecosystem, and that's often the hardest part of the job. Because working around a decomposing body is absolutely horrific. That's why forensic pathologists and professional crime scene cleaners share the same secret. The smell of a decomposing human body is unlike anything else on Earth. Even the most expensive respirator can't completely keep it out. That's why they rub a thick layer of menthol ointment directly beneath their nostrils. It doesn't remove the smell. It simply tricks the brain into tolerating it. Otherwise, anyone who experiences that odor in once may lose their appetite for days. The smell clings to your clothes. It gets trapped in your hair and follows you long after you've left the scene. The biggest difference between a forensic examiner and a mafia cleaner is what happens when they get home, when their spouse says, "You smell strange." Only one of them has a believable explanation. Even if you somehow get rid of the smell, the blood soaked into the carpet remains another problem, because when someone is murdered on a carpet, the blood doesn't stop there. It seeps beneath the wooden flooring. It penetrates deep into the concrete itself. That's why a professional cleaner sometimes has to become a construction worker. They remove the flooring. Break apart the concrete, cut out every contaminated section. And rebuild it from scratch. If they don single quotes T. Months later, a mysterious smell of decay begins spreading through the house, and eventually, the murder is discovered. Then there's the challenge of the modern world. Even if you've done everything perfectly, you can't escape technology. The victim's smartwatch may have already uploaded the exact moment their heartbeat stopped, along with their location. Straight to the cloud.
A cleaner's job doesn't end with collecting the devices and getting rid of them to mislead investigators about the last cell tower they connected to. The devices may need to be taken to the other side of the city and destroyed there. Sometimes even signal jammers are used. Because in the modern world, phones aren't the only smart devices. Security cameras are everywhere. Most home security systems store footage on a local recording unit. When the cleaner enters the house, the first task is to find that recorder and destroy it. That's the easy part. The real problem is smart doorbells and IP cameras. These devices don't store footage inside the house. They upload it instantly to the internet, to a remote server. Even if you smash the camera after walking in, the footage may already have been uploaded to a server that the police can access. That's why cleaners activate signal jammers before entering the house. These devices disrupt the Wi-Fi and cellular signals around the property. Once the internet connection is cut, the cameras can no longer upload footage. The cleaner effectively disappears into ghost mode. Some cleaners even carry powerful infrared lights mounted on their hats. These lights are invisible to the human eye, but they create a blinding glare for surveillance cameras. Yes, you need to learn every single detail, because if you overlook even the smallest mistake, it won't just be the mafia going to prison. You'll be joining them. As strange as it sounds. You also have to learn dark humor to survive this job. Here's an interesting statistic. People who work in this field, including legal crime scene cleaners, tend to have a very dark sense of humor. Making jokes while standing next to a body isn't considered disrespectful. It's a psychological defense mechanism. The brain turns trauma into something humorous to cope with it. As you become better at your job, your bank account grows as well. You can earn 50 times what an ordinary cleaner makes in a month. In a single night, paid entirely in cash, you drive a brand new luxury car. You wear expensive designer clothes, but your phone has to stay on 24 hours a day. When it rings, you have to answer. No matter where you are, and no one can ever know where you're going, lying becomes your second language. The truth is, you're living inside a luxury prison. There's no way out. Because this isn't the kind of job you can simply resign from. In this business, retirement usually means staying silent forever. And one day, that inevitable phone call comes. The boss calls. His voice sounds different this time. I've got a big job that only you can handle. You arrive at the address. It's not an unfamiliar place. It belongs to one of your boss's most trusted men. The order is simple. He started talking too much. Clean it up. That's the moment you finally understand. No one is irreplaceable in this world. Today, you're the one cleaning up the body. Tomorrow, another cleaner could be cleaning up yours. By now, your hands no longer shake while wrapping a body because you're no longer the person you used to be. Your emotions are gone. When the job is finished, you go home. You take a shower. Then you wait for the next call. The cleaner's endless cycle begins all over again. Even if you want to leave, you can't. Maybe you never pull the trigger, but you're still the one preventing justice from being served. Yes, people like this really existed. Louis Ippolito and Stephen Caracappa, better known as the mafia cops. They were detectives with the New York Police Department, but they were also working for one of New York's most powerful crime families. They didn't just leak information, they committed murders, disposed of bodies, and used their knowledge of police procedures to derail investigations. According to the mafia, the perfect cleaner is someone who can walk into a crime scene wearing a police badge and destroy evidence while officially on duty. That's exactly what they did. Sometimes they deliberately left random objects at crime scenes. Crime labs treated those items as genuine evidence and wasted months chasing meaningless leads. As a result, investigations reached a dead end. Even more remarkably, they managed to avoid capture for years. After retiring from the police and moving to Las Vegas, Louis did the exact opposite of what he should have done. He wrote an autobiography called Mafia Cop. The book brought detectives attention back to him. He even dreamed of becoming a movie star. He appeared in small roles in Predator 2, Goodfellas, and several other films. Eventually, the people they had worked with were arrested, and a series of confessions exposed everything. Their years of criminal activity finally came to light, and both detectives were sentenced to life in prison. So yes, to these men, cleaning a crime scene was no different from washing the dishes. Even when they were hooked up to a polygraph, they answered the question, "Did you dispose of the bodies?" with the same calm expression someone would use when answering, "Would you like a cup of coffee?" It drove investigators mad. That's all for today's video. If you've made it this far, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and share your thoughts in the comments.